Do you know what really pisses me off? A lot of things, actually, but in particular, something that really, really irritates me is when you meet somebody for the first time and the very first thing that they ask you is, "So, what do you do for a living?" I have never understood the appeal to that question, particularly in a context where work is irrelevant, because why does anybody care what I do for a living? More specifically, why would I care what anybody else does for a living? Perhaps this is a uniquely North American thing, but I find it really terrible how so much of our identities are tied up in our jobs. When somebody asks me, "So what do you do?" I want to tell them about all the things that I enjoy to do, all the things that bring me happiness and fulfillment and excite me, and work isn't one of them. There's some people who are fortunate enough to actually really enjoy their jobs, and a lot of people who are unfortunate enough to hate their jobs, and a lot of people who fall somewhere in between. But even if you are one of those people, even if you actually enjoy your job for the most part, I just can't understand why it has to be the thing we always talk about. And I guess it actually kind of makes sense when you think about how much time we spend not only just at our jobs, but preparing to go to our jobs. How much time do we spend commuting back and forth? How much time do we spend packing lunches? How much time do we spend thinking about work or doing overtime or checking our emails when we should be at home? How many hours of our day do we spend thinking about work and loathing work and stressing about work? And when all is said and done, how little time do we actually have in the average week where we're actively not thinking about or engaging in any sort of activity related to our jobs? It's all consuming, and I think it's awful. And tying into all of that, the part of this that I find the most mind-boggling is the fact that so many people find their sense of self-identity within their career, that they hold their job title like it is a big part of, if not the only part of their identity. You know, what do you do? Oh, you're a firefighter, you're a veterinarian, you're a programmer, you're a software engineer. So what? You're a fucking human being. And I think that all of this has manifested through this capitalistic brainwashing that has figured out that if they can make the population self-identify and get all of their self-esteem and their confidence and their personality and their entire identity from their job title, then they can also force us to work harder than we have to feel some sort of an allegiance to a corporation or a company or a client that we really shouldn't be feeling any allegiance to. It allows us to overcommit ourselves and to feel this sense of pride for something that we don't really need to be proud of, and the sense of obligation and responsibility for something that really isn't our responsibility at all. When I meet somebody for the first time, the very last thing I ever want to talk about is what they do for work or what I do for work, because it's just not that interesting. And I would hope that they have a personality outside of their job, and I would hope that I do too. I think that for a lot of us, this starts very early on. It starts in like middle school or high school when we're taught that there are certain job titles that come with a lot of esteem and come with a lot of recognition that are worth pursuing, and certain job titles that are not. You know, being a lawyer is a lot more prestigious than being a janitor. But why is one automatically better than the other? Why is that the case? Is it just based on income? Is it because one shows that you have spent an astronomical amount of money on schooling or an astronomical amount of time on schooling, and your parents really like to brag about you being a lawyer or a doctor or an accountant, but maybe they're not proud of you if you are a janitor or a bus driver or a construction worker? And it doesn't make any sense, because ultimately when it comes to a job, there are two things that are important. Number one is, can you pay your bills? And number two is, are you happy? And if the answer to both of those things is at least somewhat of a yes, then the job title or how much money you're making shouldn't make a fucking difference at all. I think in particular as a self-employed person or a freelancer or somebody who owns and operates a business all of their own, people tend to assume that your job is the thing that you are the most passionate about in life, because surely you wouldn't have gone through all the trouble of starting the business and running the business and doing every aspect of the business on your own if it wasn't something that you loved. And I'm not saying I don't like my job, I'm just saying that that's not really the case for me. You know, maybe I like my job, maybe I don't. Honestly, it depends on the day. But there is so much more to my life than just my job. And the truth is that at the end of the day, no matter how much I might like what I actually do for a living, I'm only there because I have bills to pay. And I think that that's something that gets a lot of a bad rap, and it shouldn't. There's nothing wrong with going to your job only for the money, as long as you're still doing the job well. The motivation for you being there shouldn't matter. And we're seeing a lot of this now in the whole anti-work movement, where employers are getting their panties up in a bunch about people wanting to know how much the job pays before they waste their time sitting down for an interview. Or perhaps my favorite part, when an interviewer asks you,
"So why do you want to work here?"
Bitch, what the hell do you think I want to work here? Because I want to eat food and have a roof over my head. What the fuck kind of question is that? Do you think that I'm just passionate about getting up early in the morning? Do you think I'm passionate about sitting in traffic for an hour? Do you think I'm passionate about you breathing down my back for 8 hours a day when I could be sleeping or like doing literally anything else with my time? I need money. What the fuck kind of question is that? Sorry, that just came out of nowhere. But it's just such a ludicrous question to ask, and the idea of simply saying, I need to make money, so I need to get a job, is somehow frowned upon. Why are you hiring? Why is your company hiring? Because you guys want to make money. Why is that so hard to say? Why is that so frowned upon? Why is that such a social faux pas? It doesn't make any sense to me. Throughout my life so far, I've had a lot of different jobs. Some that were really basic and boring, some that were kind of bizarre and unique, some that paid me good money, some that paid me bad money, some that I generally liked, some that I absolutely hated, but they all had one thing in common, and that was that I was only there for the money. And I want to be very clear, particularly on a self-employed basis. Being there just for the money doesn't mean you're not doing a good job. It doesn't mean you're not providing value to the client or the company that you're working for. It just means that you're only there because you have bills to pay, and there's nothing fucking wrong with that. I have never been a careerist, and I never will be. No matter how much I might like the job that I'm doing, no matter how much money I might be making, no matter how much people want me to attach my self-identity to a job title, I have no allegiance to any job, and I never will. I'm there to make money, and the very moment that I can find a way to make better money with less bullshit, I am out and on to the next thing. And so I guess it's a good thing that I didn't get an expensive degree, because doing so would kind of pigeonhole me into one particular line of work, or at least make me feel like I have to stay within that line of work to make use of the expensive degree. And so not having a degree gives me freedom to kind of jump aimlessly from one thing to the other if I wanted to. And I'm not saying that I have plans to immediately abandon my business. I'm just saying that I am there to make money, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. My job has one purpose in my life, and it is to pay my bills. It's not where I find my personal fulfillment. It's not where I find my happiness. It's not where I find my zen. I work so that I can come home and achieve the rest of those things. And so the very moment that I have an opportunity to make more money, or an opportunity to make easier money, or an opportunity to make money in a way that maybe interests me a little bit more, or has some sort of added benefit to it that I don't feel that I'm currently getting, I will move on to that thing in a heartbeat. To me, careerism is a sickness. Finding all of your personal satisfaction and self-esteem in leveling up in your job is a sad thing to me. Finding your entire social circle within your coworkers sitting at the lunch table, to me, is sad. Finding your entire structure in your day just from going to the office and doing your mundane job and then coming home and rinsing and repeating, that's sad to me. Like, try to build a life outside of work. It's so important. And no matter how much you like your job, and I hope you do, because it's, somewhere you're gonna have to spend a lot of time, and I guess it's easier if you like it than if you don't. But no matter how much you like it, don't make it your identity. Don't make it the thing that you are the most proud of in life. Don't make it where you get all of your fulfillment and your structure and your routine. You hear all of these stories about people retiring, particularly within the fire community where people retire younger. You hear all of these stories where people retire and they don't know what to do with themselves because they haven't built a life. Their entire life is their job, and the one moment that that's taken away, now they don't have any sort of identity, they don't have any hobbies, they don't have any interests, and they don't know what to do with themselves. And to me, that's devastating. When you self-identify with one thing, it's all you talk about, it's all you think about, it's all you spend your time doing. It's the only thing in which you extract your sense of self-worth and your identity and your own sense of self-confidence and satisfaction. You know what that is? That's not a job, that's a cult. And I think that this is almost like a game of whoever smelt it, dealt it. Like when somebody farts and then it's like, oh, I didn't do it. Oh, you smelt it, you dealt it. And nobody wants to admit to being the one that farted. I feel like that's how this whole brainwashing, capitalism, cult behavior has arisen, where I feel like more people agree with this than not, but nobody wants to be the one to put the pin into the balloon and let the air out. Nobody wants to be the one to be like, hey, yeah, actually, I'm just here for the money, because everybody feels the same way, but nobody has the balls to be the one to say it. I read things online all the time about people getting job offers from new companies that are offering them more money, better benefits, better work-life balance, all these great things, and they hesitate to put in notice at their current job and quit. They hesitate because maybe they feel like they've been there so long that there's some sort of an allegiance to that company. Maybe quite the opposite. Maybe they've just started and they feel bad about bailing so soon. Maybe they feel an allegiance to their boss for some reason. Maybe a family friend helped get their foot in the door at that job and they're always so worried about burning somebody. And if there's anything at all that I've learned in life, it's fuck all of those things, because the only person who has to live with the decisions you make regarding your career and your life and how you spend your time and where you make your money is you. And so if your job is something that allows you to pay your bills and you're not hurting anybody by doing what you're doing, then do whatever it is that makes you happy. And when you meet new people for the first time, don't fucking tell them about it. I don't know about you guys, but I feel much better. I've been holding that on my chest for a while. It's just one of those things, one of those shower thoughts. I get into the shower at night, or I lie down in bed at 2 o'clock in the morning and I should be sleeping, and my brain is just rapid firing all of these things, wondering why people are the way that they are, wondering how we got to this point in society. But I do feel a lot better having got that all off my chest now. If you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and hit the like button. I really appreciate you guys watching and liking all of those good things. If you haven't done so yet, maybe also consider subscribing to the channel and leave me a comment down below and let me know your thoughts on this. I want to know if I'm just being extra abrasive, if maybe you agree with me, maybe you don't agree with me, maybe it is whoever smelt it, dealt it, maybe you're ready to put the pin into the balloon and let the air out. Let me know your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree. I'm happy to engage with you in the comment section down below. Other than that, thank you guys once again for watching, and I will see you in the next video.
Your job not care about you. Your boss not care about you. Nobody giving a fuck. Tomorrow you are getting hit by bus and dying. Your job forgetting you putting someone else to do for your job. Do nothing at every possible moment. But if you have to do something, do absolute minimum. But it is most preferable to do fuck all.